Dodgers. Obviously, trade talk, what happened at the trade deadline, what didn't happen, how things are going for them lately. They finished up the road trip 5-4, which isn't terrible, but I feel like they could have done better. They've been obviously in a bit of a funk since near the beginning of July. So definitely a lot to talk about. All the prospects they acquired, some that they gave away, etc. So definitely, you and I have been going back and forth on text a lot over different things about who other teams traded for, especially the Padres, and who the Dodgers did and did not trade for, and that's always interesting chatting with you about all that stuff.
So I'm squarely of the opinion. I have no problems with Brock Stewart. That's that 97-mile-an-hour sinker today that started on the outer half, broke to the inner half of the right-hander was awesome. He's been one of, if not the best reliever in the game of baseball this year. I love the acquisition, especially considering the value of just having to give away James Outman. I love James Outman, but he was not in the future plans of the Dodgers. I think that's pretty obvious. Right. So the trade value there is incredible. I love that trade, no doubt. I like Alex Call. Here's my biggest contention, though, and I know you have a much different opinion on this. My biggest contention is it was not enough. Everybody else around you went and got substantially better, and I feel like they closed the gap on the Dodgers in the trade deadline. Prove me wrong.
Right. Well, obviously, like we mentioned, you and I talked about this a lot, and we do have diametric views on it. But I'm always hesitant to trade away big name prospects, and I don't feel like the Dodgers are deep in star quality players in their minor leagues right now. I didn't really want to trade away Josue DePaula, someone like Josue DePaula or Dalton Rushing for a reliever, no matter how good that reliever can be, because they're notoriously inconsistent. And, 1 year they look great, the next year they're not, or they, need Tommy John surgery, whatever it might be. So I feel like, we're obviously not privy to the conversations between the front office and other teams, and we don't know what those teams were asking for. Obviously, for a guy like Mason Miller, who the Padres got, they gave away a huge haul of prospects, including the number 3 prospect in all of baseball in Leo DeVries. And DeVries, he's another guy that could come back to haunt the Padres, I believe. They've traded away. I'll give you some of the players they've traded away, but I'll mention it here. James Wood, Max Fried, CJ Abrams. Who else am I missing? There's a lot of players, closers.
Trey Turner,
Emmanuel Clase, Trey Turner, Munoz is another closer they traded away. So there's a lot of players, like major league star quality players that they've traded away. And I know that you mentioned obviously that they probably couldn't afford to pay all those guys, especially probably Trey Turner, of course, since he's making huge money. But they've traded the guys that they've traded away could make quite a roster for them right now if they were able to afford them. And the Dodgers, like I mentioned, I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to trade someone like Rushing or DePaula for a starting quality player, or maybe a starting quality pitcher who's outstanding. But I'm just not really on board with trading him away for a reliever. I do know that they had talks. I've read that they had talks about a lot of these closer type relievers, but as I mentioned, we don't know what those teams wanted. I know also for Kwan, apparently the Guardians wanted a lot for him, and Call is actually better. I looked up the numbers at what the Dodgers need, which is hitting lefties. He's actually better at hitting lefties than Kwan is, and he's pretty good defensively. He can play all 3 outfield positions. So I think these Stewart and Call are not star level players, but they're good players who can fill a need for the Dodgers. And with all the players that the Dodgers have coming back from injuries, we have to remember too that there are limited roster spots available. So they would have to bring in players who are better than what they currently have and what they have coming back. So, I wish they would have gotten bigger stars, higher profile players.
Or more. That would be my suggestion. Either the huge star or more quantity. That was kind of Austin's argument too.
If they had, say, someone like Mason Miller, what the Padres gave the Dodgers probably couldn't have exceeded that offer, honestly, because they have the number 3 prospect in all of baseball. I heard also that
Mark, I don't think teams are wanting to do business with the Dodgers very badly right now.
That's another point, yeah. And I read this morning that the Red Sox wanted Leo DeVries in a deal for Duran, and the Padres didn't go for it for whatever reason. Maybe they wanted DeVries and somebody else that the Padres didn't want to give up, but they ended up giving up DeVries, obviously, in the deal for Mason Miller. So, it's like I said, I would have liked more, but at the same time, I'm hesitant to trade away prospects. Usually, the two of the deals I told you that they got burned on in the last 10 years, trades for Jordan Alvarez, they gave him up for Josh Fields, and they gave up who's the other one I'm thinking of for O'Neal Cruz. Yeah, they traded away Tony. They got Tony Watson, traded away O'Neal Cruz. So those type of deals, they happen to every team, and especially like I mentioned, I give Padres credit for going for it and going after these big name guys and upgrading their roster. But how much are they going to regret it later when they possibly see DeVries or some other guys become stars? We'll see how it turns out in the end, of course. But,
yeah. So kind of my counter to that is what they do is they take a Juan Soto and they give away a whole bunch of prospects. You mentioned them, right? In that case, the couple that are at they're all stars at Washington now. But then what they do is they take Juan Soto, and then at the end of it, so they get Juan Soto for say 2 years. And they get to make a 2-year run at a World Series, of which they beat the Dodgers 1 year. I mean, so let's not say they didn't do anything. They beat the Dodgers. They have the Dodgers beat last year. I can tell you, I've talked to people inside the organization, players, you name it. When the Padres were up on the Dodgers, they were not optimistic about their chances. I mean, I'm just telling you, the bullpen game.
It was hard to be optimistic at that point. Yeah, right.
So the Padres squarely have done a great job of making themselves relevant with the Dodgers. I promise you, everybody in the Dodgers organization, the Padres squarely have their attention, okay? And last year, they feel very fortunate to get away from the Padres after losing to the D-backs and the Padres. Now, let's not forget, if the Dodgers don't pull that rabbit out of their hat, Dave Roberts probably gets fired, okay? And it's a 3-year-in-a-row disaster. I mean, that's a disaster if you don't pull out the bullpen game last year. So the Padres have done a great job of putting themselves on the Dodgers level in the last 3 years. They just haven't gotten to the World Series, certainly haven't won one since. So I say that to say they've done a great job being relevant. And then also, here's another, what they do is they take Juan Soto, they give themselves that window to be better or as good as the Dodgers. Then they take Juan Soto, then they flipped him for 5 different prospects. So basically what they got for all those guys was Juan Soto, Michael King, I sent the list of Johnny Brito. So they got 5 major leaguers and Juan Soto for the guys. Here's the formula for the Padres. You go out and get a Juan Soto in a trade setting. You have him for a couple of years. Yes, you give away some prospects that are painful, but you're going to get them back on the back end of it because you're going to flip him before he becomes a free agent, and you're going to get those 5 prospects back. So in essence, what you do is you get because what the Padres really can't afford right now is a Juan Soto, another 10-year contract. So the only way they can get a guy like that is say on like 3 or 4 years. The only way you're going to do that is through trade. And the way that they absorb that and not just kill their farm system is that they flip it on the back end of it, which is why El Paso is still in first place, which is why San Antonio in AA is still in second place, which is why Lake Elsinore at the single A level is still in second place. They have not devastated their farm because of those reasons. And so that's the way that is literally the model for a smaller market team to be able to compete at the major league level, but yet still have a good minor league system. Blow some holes into that.
No, I mean, I understand. It's a different model, obviously, what you're alluding to than what the Dodgers do, because they have obviously a lot more money than the Padres to spend. So I don't blame the Padres for doing what they're doing, but from the Dodgers standpoint, I wouldn't trade away the type of prospects that the Padres have because I don't feel like they need to do that. So, I mean, and as I've been going back and forth with you, texting and such, I look at the team that the Padres could have, and I know it's who knows what could have and should have happened. But as I said, I don't really necessarily blame the Padres for doing it. I just don't want the Dodgers to trade away all their top prospects for relievers. That's basically my contention right there. And if like I said, they weren't going to match or exceed the offer that the Padres did for Mason Miller. I was looking at, I say some stats on David Bednar, and his numbers his ERA and WHIP and everything are really like eerily close to what Brock Stewart had.
Yeah.
And I know he's a much bigger name reliever. He's doing it in a closing role, which adds a little more pressure, of course. Stewart hasn't been the closer, but his numbers have been eerily similar, like 2.37 to 2.38 in ERA, 1.10 to 1.11 in WHIP this year. Stewart has been very injury prone, as you and I discussed, which is a concern, of course. But the good thing about him is he's the Dodgers, good or bad, depending on whether he gets injured. But they have him for the next few years at a very inexpensive price. Bednar, he costs a lot in terms of prospects and in money because he's going to be making a lot of money, and he's a rental for the rest of this year. So, the Dodgers got, I feel like Bednar light, so to speak, in terms of Brock Stewart. They gave up very little. Outman, I think, needed, as you mentioned, he needed a change of scenery, and hopefully, I wish him the best. I hope that puts him back on track in his major league career, and he's able to contribute. Hunter Fiducia is another guy they traded away, and I wish him all the best. He's blocked here, obviously, in LA, so he's a great young player, and I think you mentioned he's a great guy too. I wish him all the best as well.
100%. So let's get into today's game. We'll probably go back and forth between the trade talk, and then we will also we will get to the chat here in just a minute. So we have just a ton to talk about. Today's game very much so needed. The Dodgers have been striking out way too much. As a matter of fact, Absolutely. I have the stat here. Let me actually get to the stat. I don't have my notes open right now. So the Dodgers striking out 93 times on the road trip. I believe they struck out 6 times today, but the offense looked way better. I mean, way better today. So right. Your thoughts on the road trip overall, today's game?
Obviously, they've been really inconsistent, and as you mentioned, striking out way too much. And one of the things that I'm seeing is they're not doing the little things that teams do to win championships, so to speak. I guess we're into the dog days in a way, the dog days of the baseball season, which could be having an effect on them. But one thing about, baseball and any sport really is one of the hardest things to do is to repeat as champions. And because you don't have that same fire and desire that you did the year before, or not willing to do everything it takes maybe to win a championship like you did the year before. And I hope that's not the case with the Dodgers. They've been kind of in a lull for about a month and not playing the way that they could have. I know there are some injuries involved. But I feel like some of the games they've gone into, they didn't maybe have the same strategy or the same fire, and they're making little mistakes. Like even today, the little error that Freddie Freeman made at first base. And I was thinking back to Pajes when he missed that ball down the line that was near the wall. It's just little things like that. Hesong Kim getting doubled off at second base in that game against the Red Sox. That was a very key play. So they need to stop making the mental errors as well as, as much as they can, the physical errors. And obviously not striking out as much. Mookie Betts has still not been himself. Shohei Ohtani has been striking out at a huge rate.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And for a superstar player, sometimes I just see him swing and I'm like, oh my gosh, like he just, that's a terrible swing, So at least Freeman's coming around. Conforto has been actually hitting pretty well lately, and Will Smith has been consistently good all season, but they need Ohtani to hit well. They need Mookie to hit well, and, hopefully Call will come on and provide some help for them too. So, but it's been frustrating this whole month, and I hope they snap out of this funk and start hitting and winning and doing the little things it takes to be successful.
Me too, Mark. And hold on a second. I got something over your head here. So what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to play. I've got a whole bunch of new features and a whole bunch of new toys that you'll be able to see, Mark, whenever you look back at this. I got a scroll. I got different settings in terms of the way it can look. And
nice.
So what we're going to do now is I want to get to, we have a question on the TikTok side here. Let me get this where I normally put it. I normally put it right there. Okay, hold on. Right there is good. Okay, so let me get to this here, and let's play that video, and that will loop, and then let me get to the videos. Okay, right here. This is, and let me turn on the virtual camera. Let me put the virtual camera on for you, Mark, and you will be able to see it. You see that right there, Mark?
Yes. Yeah,
Guess who that is?
Is that Emil Morales?
That is Max Muncy.
Max. I couldn't see
is it backwards for you?
Umpire's blocking the view of him, and I knew we were going to show Emil Morales, which I don't. Is he a righty or lefty? I don't even know.
Emil Morales is right-handed.
Okay.
So
right.
Is it backwards for you? Is it showing Muncy as a right-hander for you?
No. I just couldn't see him. He was blocked by
good.
the umpire, and I knew we were going to talk about Emil Morales today. But yeah.
So we have a question. Today was a lot better game. I feel a lot better today. Of course, as fans, we're allowed to ride that roller coaster, right? Because we don't have to be the ones that have to stay even keel. So as fans, we can ride that roller coaster.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I say that to say one of the downfalls of today, one of the things that was not quite as fun, Tommy Edman comes away and it did not look good with his ankle. That looks like an IL stint to me. Of course, I was totally wrong about Max Muncy. It looks like I might be wrong on Roki Sasaki. So squarely, I'm a much better analyst at the game of baseball than I am injuries. So take that with a grain of salt. But the guy that I think the question is who would come up for Tommy Edman. This would be the guy for me, Max Muncy. He went 3 for 3 last night. My beautiful bride of 26 years now. We had our anniversary date on Friday.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
26 years.
Awesome.
Went and saw, of course, that wasn't this was last night. She was kind enough to go with me 2 games in a row, and she's given me permission to go to the Oklahoma City game tonight by myself if I wanted to go, because she can't do 3 nights in a row. That's plenty of baseball.
She's definitely a keeper then, Casey.
I knew it. Matter of fact, the first time I ever met her, I pretty much knew it at that moment, and so I've never given her back. So how's that sound?
Smart,
so I
smart
say all
move
that,
by you.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm a smart guy sometimes. So I say all that to say the guy I would bring up is Max Muncy. He went 3 for 3 last night. Once he got that first hit, you could see the monkey jump off his back, and he could exhale, and then he got 2 in a row after that.
Right. I mean, obviously, it does very much look like Edmonds going to go on the IL. And Dave Roberts, even I listened to his post game interview, and he said, "Yeah, it sure looks like it's going to be an IL stint." And Muncy looks like he's about ready, so it makes perfect sense. Freeland has been playing really well, so that's exciting to see. But obviously, when Muncy comes back up, he's going to be the regular third baseman, and Freeland can fill in at other positions, shortstop, second base, etc. So yeah, I think it looks like Muncy's pretty much ready. It looks like he's on the beam there. So I think it would make sense to bring him up.
Totally agree. So Max Muncy looks like he's coming up. So today, I'll say this, and let me go ahead and flip this back. Let me just a second here. It may be a little clunky today because I'm using these new tools, and I actually moved that to the wrong side. So let me get back to here. Okay, so today the Alex call. He's kind of the underrated guy. We've been talking about Brock Stewart, and at least we have on this show, and that's been kind of the high-profile talk we've had. How about that catch in right field? We already have a comment from our chat about the catch in right field today that Alex Call made, and let me get this back over here. And the comment is, and I'm going to say this very, very as kindly as we can, but as a matter of fact, that Teo might have caught that ball, but it would have been a lot probably dicier. But I'll tell you what, Alex Call just ran over there and caught that ball, and he has good offense. So I think the most underrated part of this deal is Alex Call. He's already made a difference with his defense in right field to me. And it wasn't just that he caught it. Most Major League outfielders will catch that ball. It was that you saw it and you're like, oh, I feel comfortable. I never worried about him catching it, that kind of deal. So Alex Call. Can you hear me, Mark?
Right. Yeah. And he's pardon me?
Yep. Go ahead. I think your video's cut now, but I think we got you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is cutting out a little bit. Can you hear me okay, though?
I hear you just fine now, yeah. We were talking about Alex Call.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was saying Alex Call, he's not a star, as we mentioned, but he may be really good for what the Dodgers need because he can play defense well. He can play all three outfield positions well. And he hits left-handers very well. So he can come up and he can contribute in those type of situations for the Dodgers. And it was pulling up his numbers actually, but he's hit. It was I think 310 against lefties and 354 on base percentage. So he's been doing the job really well in that department, and that's really what the Dodgers need out of him.
Would totally agree with that. What do you think about Blake Snell on Saturday? I thought Blake Snell, of course, he had the couple of early home runs, and he only had the one walk, and I will say that was very encouraging. 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. But the 2 home runs he gave up early, which, hey, small park, that's a weird deal there. Small park, but both teams got to play in the small park. Ironically, the Dodgers really didn't take advantage of the short porch there in right field, but the Rays did. So 2 home runs, probably park aided, but still in both of those home runs he got behind in the count. We'll get into that aspect of it with Yoshi Yamamoto here in a second. But your thoughts on Blake Snell?
Yeah, he pitched pretty well, and it's great, obviously, to have him back. The Dodgers desperately need him, and he didn't give up any walks, which was encouraging. But yeah, they really need Blake Snell, and it's great to have him back. He's not at 100 on the top of his game, I don't think, but he's going to progressively get better, I'm sure, as the season goes along now.
I'll tell you another part of this that could be an underrated part of what's happening with the Dodgers right now. I like what I'm seeing from Alexis Diaz, and it's not just he's had a couple of outings and okay, whatever. I'm way more process oriented than I am results oriented, even though it's August. Okay, so you're getting out of the process mode. It's going to be all about results as we go down the stretch. Having said that, I'm still in a little bit of process mode with Alexis Diaz, and here's why I say that. I think he's different. I think that slingshot type of delivery is different than anything else the Dodgers have. And because of that, that's going to give the Dodgers variety that they didn't have before they brought him up. And I think that in itself, as long as Diaz throws strikes, has a chance to make him be effective.
I agree. You want to throw different types of pitchers at teams during a game. When the bullpen comes in, and if you have different looks, or whether it be righty lefty, or as you said, kind of like a sidearm slingshot delivery, whatever it might be, you want to keep them uncomfortable in the batter's box. And I think that he can provide that for the Dodgers, a different look against that type of a pitcher.
Yeah, totally agree. Alexis Diaz has looked good to me. So Freddie Freeman in his last 15 games is hitting over 400. I mentioned last Saturday, 8 days ago, hey, that actually looked like a Freddie Freeman swing that didn't have pain to it. It looked like he was unlocked from a health perspective. And because of that, between the health, I know Rick Monday on today's broadcast today did a wonderful job. Go to my social medias, X, Facebook, or Instagram, and listen to the audio from Rick Monday on Freddie Freeman. He talks about between getting a lot more healthy, which he has been, and then making some adjustments from the lower half of his body. Freddie Freeman has unlocked himself, and he has become the Freddie Freeman that we needed. So really, to me, we are two and a half pieces away from being the version of the Dodgers we need to be. I think Freddie Freeman's back. Okay, he's hitting. It's not just the hits; he's hitting the ball hard. We need Mookie to get back on track. There's one. We need Shohei to quit striking out as much. We need him to start hitting the ball left center. That's 2. And then we need Teo Hernandez to be a little bit better. I'm going to say this, and I messaged this in our chat, in our group chat. I only got one response, so I may be an audience of one here. To me, Teo has looked lackadaisical to me. And as a maybe that's because he's loosey-goosey, happy-go-lucky anyways, but just running to first. Now, even if he's not going to beat it out, whatever, it just looks a little bit too lackadaisical for being August 3rd for me right now. So I think we need a little bit better version of Teo. Let's put that at a half. Let's put the less striking out for Shohei Ohtani at 1. Let's put Mookie Betts. We need him to be Mookie Betts. Let's put that at 2. So I think we're 2.5 pieces away from the Dodgers being exactly what they want to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. But on the topic of Teo, I have been wondering how much because I know he had a groin muscle pull and he wasn't quite the same from that standpoint. So I wonder how much that's affecting him, his ability to run and to cut and all of that stuff. So I wonder if that is bothering him because he doesn't seem like the type of guy who would be lackadaisical to me. But if he is, by some chance, being lackadaisical, then their acquisition of Call might light a little fire under him because he could take some of Teo's playing time away. Good point. So yeah, that could be even more important that they acquired Call because, like as you said, with the catch that he made today, Teo probably doesn't make that catch. And so
if he does, it's not as comfortable. Like when I saw Call going to get us, he's got that. I was like, who the? Oh, that's Alex. Yeah, that's Alex Call. That's kind of how my mind went.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, Teo sees that and says, hey, this guy's out here making better plays than I am. If he is at all lackadaisical, that's gonna hopefully light a fire under him if he starts thinking he might lose playing time.
What happens to Alex Freeland whenever Max Muncy comes up? What is he going to stay, or did he get brought up just for a period of time to fill in when Max Muncy was out, and because he was on the 40-man roster, he was going to have to be put on the 40-man roster because he's Rule 5 eligible. They just did the Edgardo Henriquez thing and put him on the 40-man now just to get a taste of him. So what is the role here of Alex Freeland? Is he a keeper, or is he coming back to me in Oklahoma City?
Well, the thing about young players like that is you do want them to keep getting playing time, and it's hard. I don't know where he would play regularly is the problem on the Dodgers right now. I would hate to send him back down after the way he's been playing, but obviously I don't think they're ready to sit Mookie, so he's not going to play shortstop. How much experience does he have at second base? I don't think he has much.
I've never seen him play second base.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say most likely once Muncy comes up, they probably are going to send Freeland back down, unfortunately, because he just doesn't have a path to regular playing time with Mookie and Muncy in there.
Yeah. He's looked really good. I'll say this about Alex Freeland. He's about a 270, 275, some with a left-handed hitter, which means against right-handers. He's only about 220 against lefties, meaning from the right side. Now, that's fairly typical because you don't see as many lefties, and so you don't get as many right-handed at-bats.
Right.
But I think even if he does stay on the Major League roster, I think he's a left-handed hitter only. And so I think that kind of pins him in to a niche of which they already have guys in that role that can play that niche, especially if Kike makes his way back. But Miguel Rojas can play that niche, that kind of thing, if Tommy Edman is healthy and between Alex Call and Teo Hernandez, whoever's on the bench that day, they certainly can play that niche as well. So I think one of the things that's working against Alex Freeland is that his splits are pretty significant. They're about 50 points difference batting average-wise between right and left.
Yes, right. So, I mean that makes, as you said, the path to playing time even a little more uncertain for Freeland. So chances are he's probably going to get sent down, I would think. But he's been very impressive. Obviously, he's looked really good. He's using the whole field.
More impressive to you than you thought you would see?
I would say so, yeah, because I mean, the majority of young hitters when they come up, they don't make an immediate splash. I mean, we've had that with Dalton Rushing; he really hasn't done much yet, but sometimes they do. Obviously, Outman did, but yeah, he's played even better than I thought he would, and he's made some good plays at third base too. Yeah,
he absolutely has, and keep in mind that the third base position, he didn't play from beginning of May, like he played the one game of a doubleheader at the beginning of May, didn't play it again until Max Muncy got hurt. He did not play third base at all during that stretch. So if you take that into the equation and look at the way that he's playing right now, it's pretty remarkable how well he's playing defensively at third base at the moment. So Alex Freeland, another thing about him, he has the ability to steal 30 bases. He is a great athlete. He grew up with a club foot too, so imagine overcoming all those odds. So I think what goes underrated about Alex Freeland is the athletic ability, and then also the potential to match that with some power. He has power. It's just a matter of getting it up in the air. So I think there's a lot to like here. I know he's been compared to Tommy Edman. I think he has a little bit higher ceiling maybe than Tommy Edman does, but Tommy Edman's floor is so high. The problem with like an Alex Freeland is that the strikeout rates have gotten up there from time to time in his career. So a guy like Tommy Edman, what he's done for himself, he's raised his floor so high that he's valuable from a floor perspective. I think if Alex Freeland can raise that floor, he is a really good player.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he, as you said, he has a really good combination of power and speed. So, that's big, and he has excellent defensively as well. So he can contribute in a lot of different ways. He doesn't have the position flexibility that Edman does, of course, which is a huge bonus for him.
Yes.
But he's really impressed in his time up there, and if they did decide by some chance to move Mookie back to the outfield, which I don't, is probably not coming, I don't think, they could obviously put Freeland at shortstop. That would be an option.
What in your mind? What's going on with Mookie? I said it on a post. You can go to my post on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. He's swinging straight up at the ball. He's got a real big incline in his swing right now. And hey, the goal. He said it many different times. The goal is to move your ground balls into line drives and make your line drives home runs. Which that's whenever you swing up, you do that because you get the ball up in the air more. That's great until you're about 32, and you've lost a little bit of the tools that you've had. With those, like Chris Bryant's a perfect case scenario. A lot of those upward plane swings, Chris Taylor, CT3, we just saw it. Those guys that have an upward plane swing, it goes away in a real hurry. So my opinion, I think Mookie needs to flatten his hand through the hitting zone. Up in front, but he's too much up and back. So I think he's too much of an incline of a swing right now. Of course, that's very amateur perspective of mine. What's your opinion on what's going on with Mookie?
I would agree with you. I don't know if it's just strictly mechanics or if there are other factors that have gotten him into this funk. Like we talked about him playing shortstop. A lot of people wonder if his emphasis on trying to improve defensively at shortstop has taken his focus off of the hitting part of it, or if his weight loss at the beginning of the season affected him a lot. He's not a big guy, so his mechanics from a hitting standpoint have to be perfect for him to drive the ball with out of the park, especially, or extra base hits, etc. So it's hard to really tell what the issue is, if it's just mechanics, as you say, or if it's a mental thing. But they definitely need Mookie. Some people I've seen lately have suggested, well, maybe they should move him down in the lineup. And if he continues doing this, I mean,
what's the argument against it? Just his name's Mookie.
If he continues doing this, it's either sit him or move him down in the lineup. But you can't afford to keep him up at the top of the lineup if he's not going to produce consistently.
How much of I guess the question would be how much of a timetable, how much of a window here do you need to evaluate Mookie Betts? I mean, we're at August 3rd. It's been going on all year.
Yeah, I would think in the next week or two, if he doesn't get it together, that Roberts is going to have to make that decision to possibly at least move him down in the lineup, or maybe switch him to right field and see if that changes the way he starts hitting. I don't know, and put Freeland at shortstop.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay,
so the reason why you're seeing Dalton Rushing on the screen here is we have a comment that from on the TikTok side from Lab Dad. Thank you so much for joining. We have just an awesome crowd, like we always do, from TikTok logged in. Lab Dad says, I felt like they were trying to showcase Dalton Rushing for a trade, but Dalton Rushing didn't hit. And so really there was, it was one of those deals to where other teams might have backed off because they saw him. That's what I was saying about Alex Freeland. The timing of Alex Freeland was perfect. They brought him up one day before the trade deadline. So what teams were going to have to evaluate with him was his prospect status and not his time in the major leagues. So Dalton Rushing had enough time in the major leagues where other teams could evaluate that time. And point blank, I love the young man. I think he's going to be a wonderful player, but it hasn't been good, especially offensively. And so maybe some teams backed off because they saw the major league experience that he got, and so the Dodgers tried to showcase him, and it didn't work out. Is that too tinfoilish?
I I mean, it may have affected him, his trade value to an extent, but I think teams still see his value. So I don't think it affected, the trade value tremendously. I think that teams still would have loved to have had him. I think if the Dodgers did want to go after a big name reliever and they were willing to include Dalton Rushing in there, I think they probably would have gotten one. As I've said, I don't think it's worth it. It would have been worth it for me because I still think he can be a very good major league catcher.
How though? What path?
Well, that's the thing is that I do think eventually that they may have to trade him, but I think it should be for a regular everyday player or a major starter rather than just a reliever. So that's my opinion.
We have a question here from Jay Pano. Was there anybody out there worth trading somebody as valuable as Dalton Rushing?
Well, that's a really good question because who would they have acquired? That's another thing you always have to wonder. There weren't a lot of regular players that were available or even starters. And did the Dodgers even
That's
really
the point.
need?
The position player crop it wasn't worth a Dalton Rushing, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest name traded was Eugenio Suarez. And obviously there's not a position on the Dodgers that Eugenio Suarez can play with Muncy coming back to play third base. And he's not very good defensively at third anyway, I don't think. So, I mean, there weren't a lot of really position players available. And did the Dodgers even need starters with Snell and Glasnow back now? Obviously, they traded May away. And I think May has been really inconsistent. So maybe that will help him going to the Red Sox, getting a fresh start. May seems like he's been having trouble the second time through the lineup, Dustin May. So
are you good with them getting rid of May?
I was okay with it because he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year anyway, and I doubt the Dodgers would have re-signed him. Some team will probably throw pretty good money at him. So I was okay with him going and getting a fresh start. And the Dodgers, I heard they had conversations with him about possibly moving him to the bullpen. I don't think he wanted that. So I think he was open to the idea of a trade to be able to continue starting. He believes he can be a starter, which, good. Hopefully for his sake, he can. That's what he wants. But I was okay with it. The Dodgers have a lot of starters, and Wrobleski and Sheehan have been pitching really well. So they have them and the other guys coming back. They could get Sasaki back too. So, yeah.
I'll tell you this. Based on what Dustin May said, hey, flame away at me if you want. This is my opinion. And Mark, you know as well as I do, we both have our own opinions, and we like to share them on our group text, which is what makes it absolutely awesome, is that everybody has their own opinions. It's not always the same, and then you can kind of see both sides of things, and then you put it together, and everybody gets to sit around the water cooler and have a good time talking about it. So from the comments that Dustin May had, adios, dude. Okay, man. I mean, he was putting the name on the back of the jersey in front of the name on the front of the jersey. Maybe I'm too hardcore. Maybe I'm too old school. Maybe I'm being that old guy, get off the lawn. But damn it, I tell my kids all the time, okay? At least I did before I would stop coaching and started doing the Dodgers Daily thing instead. Yeah. Hey, listen, you're not a left fielder. You're not a right fielder. You're not a second baseman. You know what you are? You are a baseball player. Right. You are going to perform the duty, the task that the team needs you to perform. Okay. Exactly. And if you do it your best, and everybody does that, we will become the best version of what we can possibly be. So if there is anybody out there that thinks, well, damn, coach, I'm not a right fielder. I'm a second baseman. Screw right field. Adios. See ya. Get the hell out of here. Even if you're really good, because that is a cancer, and I've had cancer. If you look at my left neck, I had cancer when I was 11, 12 years old. I know what it's like, and I also know a lot of times the only way to cure cancer is to cut it out. And so the comments from Dustin May, I think the Dodgers are being politically nice on this, on the public front, but I think probably behind closed doors, they're like, get the hell out of here. Bye. See ya. Thanks for all your service. But if you're that selfish to where you don't even want to go to the bullpen to try to win a freaking World Series, dude, I mean, come on, get out of here. That's where I'm at. Of course, you can tell I'm getting fired up about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree with you. There are players like Kike Hernandez has given up a lot to come back to the Dodgers. I just read recently that he was offered some much more money to play for other teams, and he wants to be on the Dodgers. He wants that championship atmosphere and the chance to win another World Series.
What did Mookie do last year?
Yeah, Mookie,
he moved back to right field last year, right? He's like, hey, if the team needs me to do it, I don't want to do it, but if this is what the team needs, whatever. I mean,
if you want to be on the Dodgers and be part of, this championship level team, you sometimes have to make sacrifices for the good of the team, and players have to be willing to do that. Max Muncy has said that he's willing, if they want to move him to second base or whatever, he's okay with that, even though he's been much better defensively at third base than he was early on. But yeah, I mean, these players, they have to be willing to do that. And one thing I'll also say about Dustin May, that he seems to let his emotions get the best of him on the mound. And I think that also contributed to his lack of success at times, because
that drives you insane, doesn't it?
It totally drives me insane. Yes, because I even saw that with Kershaw. As a matter of fact, as much of a veteran as he is, he doesn't usually let that happen to him. But when a player behind you makes an error and then you lose focus and give up a home run, I've seen Dustin May do that several times. So I think that the emotions can work for you. You can get that fire in you and take it to another level, or you can get very emotional and you can lose your focus and let a guy hit a home run. So, and I think Dustin May was a victim of that at times. So, for his sake, hopefully he's able to harness his emotions and not let it affect his performance in the future.
So here's where I'm having a hard time getting over this, Mark. Okay. And so this show is therapy for me. I still don't know who's going to get the last 3 outs for the Dodgers. Who's the freaking closer? You spend $1 billion on your closer's a big deal, man. I mean, that's a huge, huge deal. If a manager can game plan to a Kenley Jansen or somebody like a Mariano Rivera or Emmanuel Clase, somebody that they know, hey, it's baseball, so nothing's guaranteed, but I got this dude, and he's as close to a guarantee as I can find.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That you can manage to that. You can manage your whole bullpen. You can manage your offense to scoring however many runs you feel like you need. It affects the game positively in so many different ways. And I still don't feel like the Dodgers got that closer. And because of that, I still think that's a huge hole.
Yeah, I agree with you. Before I answer, I want to say, give a quick shout out to my friend Estelle, who is visiting me from Germany, and she's the one that commented. She commented early under the name of Delia that she is watching the show. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to her before we continue. But I think for now they have to go with Trinan, and obviously today he showed that he may not quite be ready for that. So, but I think for now, I guess Trinan Vesia maybe. I don't know if he can continue to be as good as he has been, but he could maybe be their closer unless Scott can get it together, or Yates once he gets back off the IL. One of those guys can get it together and be closer material like they were last year. So for now, I would say it has to be probably a combination of Trinan or Vesia. I don't know if Diaz is capable of doing that right now, but and hope that Scott and Yates can improve and come back and maybe be the closer down the stretch.
Is that not a lot of ifs?
It's a lot of ifs, yeah.
This is where I'm having my problems here.
Well,
I mean, even for people like you that are happy with the trade deadline, you love Brock Stewart, all that.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's just a lot of ifs.
Trinan under the most immense pressure was the closer, basically.
Agreed, but he's injured.
Series. Yeah. Well, I hope he's not still injured, but he's hopefully going to be. I don't know if he's still 100%, and hopefully he will be 100% and get that sharpness back that he's had. It is definitely iffy. I feel like I said earlier, I don't know what the cost would have been to acquire one of those closer types. Would it have been Rushing, DePaula? Who knows? So I can't say that they made a mistake in not going after acquiring one of those guys.
So what if the Dodgers don't win the World Series because they have problems getting the last 3 outs? Does it matter what prospect you give up at that point?
I mean, that could happen regardless. I mean, if they say they acquired Mason Miller, he could be the guy that gives up the saves in the World Series. And Mariano Rivera, as great as he has, he gave up the game-winning hit in Game 7 of the World Series against the D-backs. Josh Hader has given up very key saves, blown very key saves in the playoffs and World Series. So, so it's, even if you get one of those guys, there's no guarantee that it's going to mean the World Series for you. It might, but it might not too. And then you gave up Dalton Rushing, or you gave up a Josue Apollo, who's going to come back and haunt you later. Yeah.
So have you ever seen a team that is as good as the Dodgers, as talented as the Dodgers, that have as many ifs? It's like, if they stop striking out, if Mookie Betts makes his way back, if Teo Hernandez gets healthy, if, it's like, this is the team of ifs, and it's like $1 billion. You got 3 Hall of Famers at the top. You got Will Smith, who's been the best catcher at least in the National League. I think he's been the best catcher in the entire game. You've got 5 absolute, and it's if Blake Snell continues to pitch as well as he does, if Tyler Glasnow doesn't get injured, if Roki Sasaki can make, if. You ever seen as many ifs for as many, like, just elite baseball players as you have on one team?
Probably not. But there was a point at last year when they were very questionable too. I will say. They've gone through stretches in almost every season.
They were aggressive at the trade deadline last year. They filled they knew they needed a number one starter, so they got Flaherty. They knew they needed another reliever, so they got Kopech. They knew they needed that utility guys. So they were way more aggressive last year to fill all of those ifs than they were this year.
I would say that you're right, but also this offseason they did a lot more than they usually do too.
Great point.
They got Tanner Scott, they got Yates, they got Blake Snell, they brought in Conforto, who hasn't obviously performed at what we would like to, but they made some major acquisitions. And Friedman has said that he did that because he didn't want to be in the position of having to trade away top prospects at the trade deadline, where you always overpay. When you acquire guys in the off season, the cost is generally a little bit lower. You have more options. So, that could be some of it there too. And they also, I still believe this team is more talented than last year's team. So, providing they get healthy and get all their guys back and get their hitters in a groove like they should be hitting, like Mookie and Ohtani and Teo should be hitting, then I still feel like they're in a good position.
What a down on the farm we have coming up. I hope you stick around for it. We've got Max Muncy's 3 hits last night in AAA Oklahoma City. We've got the outing from Landon Knack. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. It was frustrating as hell because he threw great, and he was 2 pitches away from really just lighting up the box score. Instead, he gave up 3 runs because of 2 pitches, and I'm still pissed about it if you can't tell. We've got Bobby Miller and his transition into the bullpen. We're going to talk all about that. We've got the debut of 6'10" Paul Gervase, who I got to see last night with my own eyes. We've got video from him. We've got Antonio Knowles, who's been the best reliever in the AA since his 3rd outing on. We've got Zack Airhart, who the Dodgers just got from the Boston Red Sox in the Dustin May trade. I know all about Zach. He went to OSU. I followed his 4-year. I saw every at-bat that he had at Oklahoma State. I posted about him probably 200 times on my O State Daily site. And so I'm super excited to talk about Zack Airhart. Ching Shin Ko, we're going to talk about him. Chase Harlan, Emil Morales, and Ryan Brown. That is the menu for the Down on the Farm, Mark. I am so excited. We're not going to get there yet. We're still going to talk about Yamamoto and some coming up. But excited about the Down the Farm segment tonight.
Yes, I'm very excited too. There's a lot of players that you mentioned there that obviously are performing really well, and it's super exciting. I'm really excited to see the players that the Dodgers have acquired too, like Gervase that you mentioned, and Airhart, and some of the other guys. So, yeah, that's one thing that Friedman did is, and some of these under the radar type trades that he makes end up being huge for them. And Gervase is a really interesting guy. So yeah, I'm excited for all that you mentioned.
Here is a really good. So, Mark, you brought up a great point and kind of backed me off of that point, and I totally agree with you. Now, I think if you follow Dodgers Dawgs, you realize I'm pretty strong in my opinions. I'm strong. I've had to be. You know, I mean, when you're a coach, when you're a teacher, and you get attacked all the damn time. I mean,
right.
What you have to be is like Coach Chappell. He's in the OSSA Hall of Fame. I like to feel like I had a big part of his 500-plus wins because I was his main assistant for 20 years, for 2 decades. And so I like to feel like I had a pretty big part in that. He told me a long time ago, he said, hey, you know, when you have a parent that's losing it on you, okay, so you don't listen to the tone. What you do is you actually listen to what they're saying. He said, because you did something wrong that made them that mad, or at least you need to at least understand what they're saying to figure out if there is something that you did wrong there. So I've always taken the mentality that I'm extremely confident, my wife would like to say cocky, in the way that I present myself and in my beliefs in myself and my confidence and my beliefs or whatever it may be I've been doing. But I also have learned that it's a lot easier if you listen, and if you can always learn and get better. And so if you're wrong, you're wrong. I'm a believer. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you're wrong, you're wrong. So the best part of a situation like this is if you're very convicted, but then you're very willing to listen to the other side. So having said that, this debate on the trade deadline situation has been fascinating to me. And so just kind of give me your final thoughts on what you think about how the trade deadline's gone down.
Well, as we talked about, I would have loved it if they could have gotten a closer for the right price, which we don't know what that price would have been. Obviously, for the Padres to get Mason Miller, they blew them away with offering the number 3 prospect in baseball. The Dodgers, I know they were in on talks for Clase A, but then he had that whole gambling issue, so that nixed the idea of that happening. Bednar is a guy that maybe they could have acquired, but Stewart's numbers are very, very similar, and maybe the cost for Bednar was a little higher than they were willing to give up. So. I would have liked to have seen them get them, and Quan would have been a nice pickup. But as I said, Call is a guy that may even fit with them a little bit better in terms of being able to hit left-handed pitchers, so he can fill a good role there. So and with all the talent that they have and all the guys that they have coming back from injury, I still feel like as long as the guys that they have produce the way that they should, that they're in good shape.
Actually, I lost my train of thought there. Where I was going with that whole big old long sermon that I just gave there was the point that you mentioned. I'm whining a little bit because I don't feel like the Dodgers did enough. The trade deadline, I'm spewing probably way too much venom. I need to move on. I will eventually. I just got to clear it out of my system.
Yeah.
But the point that you made, I think, is what got me over the hump in terms of feeling a lot better about it and really realizing that I need to shut the hell up and that I'm being a spoiled brat. Okay. And the point of that is so we have a question here. Would you grade the off season and the trade deadline together? I think the points you're making is Brock Stewart, a total fit. They needed somebody to come in and nail right-handers. Okay. Alex Call, they needed somebody to come in and hit left-handers or whatever it may be. The fit that they put together combined with the off season they put together. So whenever that hit me like a ton of bricks. Okay. So good. When I say, okay, like if I combine the offseason and the trade deadline, I've got to give it somewhere in an A, maybe even an A+, because, I mean, you just went and got great players. Blake Snell's coming back. Conforto hasn't worked out all that great. But you got to give the Dodgers an A for going and getting Scott and Yates, although they haven't worked out. That's not the Dodgers' fault. That's just pure bad luck. Yeah. Okay. And then the fit part of it. So when I look at that, I'm sitting here bitching and moaning and acting like a 2-year-old child about an offseason and a trade deadline where you got Blake Snell, you got Michael Conforto, who's been a lot better lately. You got Tanner Scott, who was one of the best relievers in the game of baseball last year. Kirby Yates, who was one of the best relievers in the game of baseball last year. Brock Stewart has been one of the best relievers in the game of baseball this year. And Alex Cawley fits a definite fit need. Exactly. And here I am bitching and moaning and whining about it, right? So I think that got me over the hump. And I hope for others that feel like I do, that they didn't do enough at the trade deadline, I hope that kind of thinking gets you over the hump too.
as you mentioned, if Scott and Yates were pitching like we thought they would, or like they did last year, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, I don't think. But the Dodgers, they invested a heck of a lot of money, and they went out and really made huge splashes this last offseason, so they wouldn't have to overpay at the trade deadline, which they didn't do. They got a couple of guys who can fill key roles.
So why is the trade deadline so expensive now?
Because teams know they kind of have you over a barrel,
Is it the wild card because there's more gray area to who's a buyer and a seller because you're closer to the wild card now?
There are less teams that are willing to trade away prospects because most teams are in it now. So
yes,
there are less prospects available, and teams know that they can ask a lot. I mean, they can trade a reliever and get 4 really good prospects for them. So that is in the case of the Padres. So yeah, the cost has risen significantly, I would say, and so yeah, it made it difficult for the Dodgers, to do this, and they didn't panic, to Friedman's credit. I mean, it's hard to fault Friedman the way this front office has been run. Friedman, I should mention Brandon Gomes, who's actually the GM, but their whole front office, the way they've operated, the last 10 plus years, whatever it might be, they've it's hard to fault them. I don't agree with everything they've done. I know there was one. There was one trade deadline where they got Joey Gallo, and I was like, really? Like, yeah, it's just. I mean, that was that didn't do much for me there. So, this one they at least got a couple players who I think are really going to contribute to the success of the team. I hope they do. So we shall see.
Here is the summation of what the Dodgers have done in the offseason and the trade deadline. If I miss one, clue me in here. But this just goes to show how awesome it's been. Blake Snell, Tommy Edman was last year. Blake Snell, Teo Hernandez, they re-signed him. Mm-hmm. Michael Conforto, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, Brock Stewart, Alex Call, Clayton Kershaw, Blake Trinan.
Right.
Dang, man, that's a pretty damn good haul.
A pretty good collection of players there, I would say, and a lot of money invested. So yeah, they're as Dodger fans, you said you're acting like a spoiled child or something, but we kind of get into that mode, where
we're the Dodgers, damn it, let's get the best one out there, right? That's kind of how I look.
We're like,
at
we need I see fans that are like, oh my gosh, they complain about certain players, and I'm like, you can't have a star at every position,
Right?
It's just not possible, So some guys, maybe they're not stars, but they can still contribute. So like maybe a Conforto, who's obviously doesn't contribute as much as we'd like, but he. There are guys that can fill roles like Call. I think will fill a good role for them. So, and some guys just come up, relievers come up, and they're innings eaters. Like I'll mention Matt Sowers. He's been valuable to them this year because he's eaten innings for them, and a bullpen that's really been taxed a lot. So, yeah, there's we have to keep in mind that we're really lucky to be Dodger fans, but
we are.
By the same token, we can't have it all.
Yeah. Okay, man, you ready to take a trip down the farm?
I am, yes.
All right, this is who you're seeing here, Bobby Miller. And I can tell you, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was there Friday night, my beautiful bride of 26 years. As of Friday, we were both there. He got lucky as hell. I mean, he got lucky as hell. First batter hit just a rod to the right of Noah Miller, who, by the way, Noah Miller is awesome. This is a really good young player. His offense looks really good right now. His defense is fantastic. But the first hitter hit a really, really hard ball right to the right of Noah Miller. Noah Miller went over and made a tremendous play. And then Ryan Ward, old Wardo, went and dove after one and caught another one. That's a second hitter. So the first two hitters probably had if you went and did the advanced analytics, probably like an 80% chance of a base hit, both taken away by defense. So the box score is a little bit misleading. That he did give up. He didn't give up any runs, and I'll say that. I wanted to make sure and get that out there. But having said that, it's results. This is the second bullpen outing in a row that Bobby Miller has not given up any runs. And the big one of this last one, the first one, it was one inning, and actually he gave up a run in his first bullpen outing, but his first scoreless bullpen outing, it was like, okay, well, whatever. And I got a comment from, can't remember who it was. It was a great comment, though. Hey, let's wait and see what happens when we get a couple runners on base. Well, he got a couple runners on base this last outing, and it didn't bother him. So I think things are looking up. The bullpen role for Bobby Miller looks good. What are your thoughts?
I would agree. I think he's been obviously very inconsistent as a starter, and a lot of times the second time through the lineup he struggles. So I think it's worth giving him a shot as a reliever, and so far it's looking pretty good. Sometimes with guys, if they can do max effort for an inning or two, it really works out much better for them. He's a guy who can hit triple digits. He has really good stuff. He just hasn't been able to really, put it together and make a great strategy, in terms of how he wants to put hitters away. And maybe being in the bullpen will help him. He won't have to focus so much on throwing all of his pitches, and he can just focus on doing what he needs to do to be successful as a reliever.
Landon Knack, let's get to him. And if you have any comments or if you have anybody that you want us to cover down on the farm as a prospect, please let us know, because we would like this show to be directed by you. We want to cover whoever it is you want to cover. Landon Knack last night, I told my wife, there's Max Muncy making a play there, that every time I go watch Landon, it never turns out very good. And I'm telling you, man, last night it was disappointing because it was 6 innings, 3 runs, 11 strikeouts, and 1 walk. I mean, he kicked the Salt Lake Bees' ass all freaking night. I mean, if you didn't see the home run and then the Brandon Drury got him for a leadoff double in the 5th inning. You remember Brandon Drury, major leaguer with the Padres, several different major league teams. He got him for a leadoff double. Then they hit a fly ball to right field to advance him to third, then a sac fly. That was the 3rd run. He made a mistake on the home run, but Drury, give him credit. He's a major league hitter. But I'm telling you, man, it was 6 innings of Landon Knack just kicking ass. And it didn't show up in the box score. Gave up 3 runs. And so that was very frustrating. So it's very close to being dominant, really down to 2 pitches. And so I would think it's going to be mixed for Landon Knack because he's been struggling lately. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. He has not been very good as of late. He needed a really good bounce back. That's the most disappointing part of it. So I'll bet he went home last night going, man, I feel really good about the way I threw, but it really sucks that I gave up 3 runs.
Yeah, I would think so. He's a guy that I kind of forgotten about a little bit, and he's had some good success even on the major league level. So he's another guy that at some point could help the Dodgers this year if he can get it together. I really like Landon Knack from just his personality standpoint too. He seems like a really down to earth guy who's a hard worker, and so obviously I'm hoping that he has great success and comes back up and helps the Dodgers. Forget about guys like him, and like Nick Frasso's another guy that somewhere along the line this season, hoping they don't have more injuries, but maybe one of these guys might need to come up and help the Dodgers out too.
I guess we're having some comments that shouldn't be made in the chat. I think you guys know that I work very hard to make sure this is one of the most respectful chats of all time that you could possibly go see. So disrespect or anything that's not appropriate gets deleted fairly fast. But I will say this, Gregory, thank you so much for doing a wonderful job moderating. All the moderators out there, please delete a comment if you think it's not appropriate, because especially in the Down the Farm segment, I'm looking at video, I'm flipping through video, and so it's liable to be a half a page before I get to it if there's something that's not correct. There's a reason why I made you guys moderators, and so feel free to delete whatever comment that you need to delete. So let's get to 6'10" Paul Gervase. Exciting to watch him last night. Now, he's walking almost 1 hitter per inning, so that he's got to eliminate the walks. I did not see him walk a guy. He got behind a guy last night, but he was about 96, 97, and the last slider that he dropped was absolutely awesome. I mean, I was like, woo, look at that. Look at that slider that he dropped there. That was worth the price of admission. So I'm excited. Look at that fast. Look how easy that looks. And he's 6'10", so it looks like he's just handing the ball off to the catcher. Super excited. He was part of the trade deadline that the Dodgers got back. Also saw the catcher. I can't remember his last name. I can't pronounce it either. I'm not going to get to it right now. Veld or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Gert Veld, I think, is his last name. Correct me on that. But Paul Gervase, very impressive last night from what you're seeing here. What do you see?
Yeah, he has. It looks like a little bit of an unusual delivery with a guy that's 6'10", and I mean, and he gets extension. You know, the ball is on top of you really quickly. So if he's throwing 96, 97, it's probably like some guys throwing 105 or something like that. And he has. It looks like he has kind of more of a 3/4 delivery. So that's unique. So I know he's been really successful on the minor league level. As you said, he needs to cut down on his walks and maybe improve his command, but he's an exciting prospect, no doubt.
I'll tell you another guy that I don't know if exciting is the right word, but really good and really deserving. You know, I talk about the meritocracy, the merit system over the country club system, and I couldn't tell you why this guy, Antonio Knowles, is still at Double-A. He's been there for like 15 years. And his first 2 outings were not good this year. He went 2 innings today. Tulsa won in extra innings in 10 innings. He held where were they at? Midland in the 9th. It was a tied in the 9th, so he held Midland in the bottom of the 9th. Then he held him in the 10th and absolutely did his job like he always does. Antonio Knowles, you just saw that slider. That slider right there, he didn't land that one, but it's one of the best sliders in the game. He has been just absolutely fantastic in his time with Double-A overall. Certainly today. Today, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks, ERA of 2.70, record of 6-1, whip down to 0.97, walks and hits per inning below 1. That's awesome. 51 strikeouts, 43.1 innings. He's gone scoreless in 12 outings in a row. Why is this guy not in Triple-A, Mark?
That's a good question. I mean, he's been consistently good, and I would have to believe that the Dodgers are going to challenge him and bring him up to AAA at some point in the near future, because obviously AAA, I think there's more hitters parks on the AAA level besides being more experienced and veteran hitters. So that would be a good challenge for him to see if he's maybe ready to go to the majors at some point in the near future.
Hey, Tomatley is in the chat, and he says that Alexis Diaz actually has a longer extension than Gervase. I would have lost a bet. He said he would have lost a bet on that, and I would have lost a bet on that as well. So
yeah, interesting.
I don't have it measured, but I just assumed at 6'10", Gervase had well over 7 foot of extension. So I'll be curious to get those numbers. And hey, Tomatley, if you know the exact extension numbers of Alexis Diaz, I would be very curious what those are, because that is a very surprising thing to hear there. And so today we have, I don't know that I've all year talked about this young man, Roque Gutierrez. He hasn't been very good since he came to Tulsa, and we got to see him. My wife and I did. We went to Wichita a couple weeks ago to watch the Drillers. We love going to Wichita. It's just about a couple hours north of our house, and it's a beautiful new facility there on the riverfront in downtown Wichita. And so we love going there. We go there every chance we get. We got to see Roque there, and he gave up like 7 runs in the first inning. The Drillers scored like 9 runs in the first inning, and then it was 9-7 after the first because Roque just did not have a good day. But I'll tell you what, he had a good day today. Roque Gutierrez had absolutely his best outing ever as a professional when you take the level of competition at the Double-A level, because he just got promoted about a month or 2 ago. 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. He only got to a 2-0 count 2 different times, Mark. Both of that, that's via the play-by-play announcer for the Midland Rockhounds, Bob Hards. And so 2-0 only 2 different times. Slider was great. Great outing for Roque Gutierrez. I know we haven't covered him much, so do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, he's another guy. I mean, I haven't had a chance to really. I
think we lost Mark there. He just cut out there.
I just pulled up his stats too as you're talking, and he was successful at Great Lakes this year, a 3.46 ERA and a 1.2 WHIP before being promoted to Tulsa. So it's been a little rougher going. Sometimes it takes guys time to adjust to another level, and it's a big jump going from even high A to Double-A.
Yep.
That's I've heard that's like the biggest jump there is in the minor league. So yeah, hopefully this is a good sign for him that he'll turn it around. But he looks like he has really good stuff.
Hey, here's a guy I'm super excited about. I got to cover his entire freaking career at OSU, and he was absolutely awesome. Zack Airhart is what I call a little guy that's not really a little guy. So he's a little guy in frame maybe, but if you actually see him like with his shirt off and stuff, this dude is freaking ripped, and he can just flat hit. I mean, Zack Airhart can absolutely flat hit. The streak that he went, so I'm going to give you some background here. He started out slow his last year at Oklahoma State, and then had a kind of a conversation with Josh there, the head coach at OSU, about the type of hitter he needed to be. So he committed to doing this. Just be a great hitter first. Don't worry about hitting home runs. Don't worry about what you think the pros want to see from you. Go out and be the best version of Zack Airhart, and the best version of Zack Airhart is doing that, hitting line drives all over the field, right center, down left field line. He is an awesome hitter. He's fast. He grew up playing infield there in the Tampa area, but he was an outfielder at OSU. I'm telling you, man, the Dodgers struck gold getting this guy from the Red Sox. You know I'm going to love all my OSU boys, but this one's a little bit more special because he was the leadoff. He was a two. He did he is an awesome baseball player. I'll just put it to you that way.
Well, I'm excited to hear you say that because I honestly didn't know a lot about him, but I'm just looking at his stats too as you're talking. And Greenville this year in High A, he had a pretty fair amount of at bats for them. He had 111 at bats, and he hit 342 with a 471 on base percentage. So that's impressive. 931 OPS. Not a lot. He didn't have much power. He only had one home run. He did have 10 doubles. But
he's a doubles guy. He's a line drive doubles guy. Great point there. Yeah.
But I mean, that's impressive, to have that average and that on base percentage. That's incredible.
So this was a post I did on him last May on my O-State Daily site. Zack Airhart has hits in 9 of 10 games. He scored at least one run in 15 of the last 17 games. And since March 6th, he hit 358, and he scored 58 runs in 45 games. So he gets a ton of hits. He steals bases. He figures out a way to get to the next base. He figures out how to score. And that's Mark. He hit, like one day he'd be the leadoff hitter. The next day he'd be the four-hole. I mean, that's how versatile he was in terms of the things he could do offensively.
Yeah, and just having that type of hit tool seems like kind of a lost art in the major leagues these years because, obviously Will Smith is leading the National League in hitting, but you don't have the Tony Gwynns. I guess what's the guy on the Padres that is a really good hitter? I forget it. His name is escaping me.
Luis Arraez?
Pardon me?
Luis Arraez.
Yeah, Luis Arraez. Yeah, he's kind of a throwback type of player like that. But just having that type of hit tool and to hit for that type of average, I love that. Guy that can get on base that often. Yeah,
and his just energy is just absolutely awesome. He's like what the way that we said it at Oklahoma State. Zack Airhart is a mood because just the energy he played with, it just put everybody in a great mood. I'll tell you another guy who's always in a great mood. This young man, watch this clock, boom, 3.64 to first base for Kendall George. This dude has been absolutely lighting up the Midwest League in terms of getting on base and stealing bases. He's been on one of the most incredible tears, stealing bases wise and getting on base that I have ever seen.
Yeah, as I mentioned many times, speed is another thing that I love to see. I admired those Cardinals teams back in the day when they had Vince Coleman and all of those guys. Those seemed like almost everybody on the team could get on and steal bases. And that's the Dodgers. As we've talked about it, they're bringing a lot more athletic players like Kendall George into the organization, and he just has blazing speed. So that's super exciting to see.
Like, I thought Cole Myers was fast, and I timed him home to first, and he was a little bit over 4. Kendall George was 3.64. Right here, he gets picked off, and it's like the defense did everything right, and he was still safe. It's incredible. Okay, 65 stolen bases.
Wow.
65 stolen bases for Kendall George. And, by the way, here's the exciting thing about him. He's not a great hitter. He slaps the ball. He does that right there. That's his offensive game. Now, in the offseason, he tried to add power. He tried to get stronger, tried to add lift to his swing, and it was a disaster, kind of like Austin Gauthier. So he's gone back to just, hey, I'm going to find what the version of me is, what I do best. I'm going to be Kendall George. So he's slapping the ball to left field. He's hitting the ball on the ground. He bunted for a base hit last night, and he's stealing bases. and it's absolutely working. And because of that, his on-base percentage, despite having an incredibly slow start, is almost 400 mark. So, hey, Kendall George is figuring it out.
Yeah, and I love that type of game. As we talked, the Major League has gotten away from that. Obviously, the stealing and just being a consistent contact hitter, and they're wanting everybody to have that launch angle and drive the ball and everything. But I love the type of game that Kendall George has, and hopefully it'll play at the Major League level at some point.
And another very top prospect, of course, Kendall George was the first draft pick, and the 2023 draft. Okay, so here's another big top draft pick, or not draft pick, but here's an international signing, big top prospect. This is Ching-Shin Ko. Big dude, plays center field, plays outfield, good power, smooth swing. I mean, that's a sweet-looking swing right there. That's a double off the right center field boards. So hitting 359, 308 since he's been promoted to the Quakes. He has hits in 3 games in a row, so exciting to see Ching-Shin Ko. And I'll tell you what, the Quakes have a lot of young, exciting prospects right now on the roster. You're going to have a good time watching them, hopefully next week.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to try to get out there next week. And congratulations to Eduardo Quintero, by the way, to getting promoted. But
yeah,
it enabled them to bring up some other guys that are really exciting, like Ko, and I'm sure you're going to get to Emil Morales as well. But those guys, I touched on them in other podcasts playing in Arizona. And so it's exciting to see them come up to the Quakes, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in person.
Yeah, 100%. Another guy that's really, really exciting that I'm excited for you to get to see. Big, broad shoulders. He was the second pick of last summer's draft, and that is Chase Harlan. Chase Harlan he's not like doing unbelievable or anything. He's doing about like you'd expect a young guy to come up. But this is a guy that can hit the ball up the middle. He had 2 hits up the middle yesterday, but then he has a world of power, and he's a big old, long, tall, a drink of water playing third base.
Yes, and he's another guy that I touched on that was hitting really well in Arizona. So he earned his midseason call up here. So definitely excited to see what he can do. Also,
yeah, he's a very exciting player just because of his potential to hit home runs, and then also to, like I said, be a great hitter too. So we have two prospects left that we're going to talk about today, Emil Morales and then Ryan Brown. So don't go away. We still have a couple more to talk about. Emil Morales that's the worst camera. That's Fresno, by the way. Fresno,
oh, wow.
That when they built that park, they were AAA. They were the AAA affiliates of the Giants. In 2021, when the minor leagues shuffled all the minor league teams, they did away with like the Pioneer League and all that. A lot of teams lost their minor league team. Fresno almost lost their team entirely. They got a low A team. So they went from AAA to low A. So now they have a AAA park and they're hosting a low A team. So for a AAA park, they should have a better view of what's going on than what they have there. But this is Emil Morales showing some power to dead center. He had 2 home runs last night. He likes to take his time getting around the bases. He likes to celebrate. But I've talked to Manny Pimentel, the director of scouting in the DR, and Manny will tell you he has big-time leadership skills. A lot of excitement about Emil Morales, who you're going to get to see next week, Mark.
Absolutely, and he's kind of following Eduardo Quintero's footsteps in a way, even though he plays shortstop, which is obviously a more premium position. But in a podcast that we had earlier, I compared their stats, and they were very comparable. Him and Eduardo Quintero. He has shown more power than Quintero has. Quintero is a little bit higher with on-base percentage, and Quintero has shown more speed, but Emil Morales is a big guy for a shortstop. He's 6'3", 191, it shows, and he may possibly end up being a third baseman. We'll see. But, he has some impressive power, and he's hit extremely well. And in the Arizona League, he was hitting 300 with a 881 OPS. So, yeah, he's been very impressive.
Yeah, he has been. Another guy that is massively impressive. Now, he doesn't always throw strikes. This is Ryan Brown, and his Vulcan change, but Ryan Brown would strike out his mother. This is a guy that strikes out absolutely everybody, this is a guy you need to put on your radar because he's going to use the minor league process to figure out how to keep the ball in the zone more because the swing and miss stuff is just ridiculous. Matter of fact, with his Vulcan change, he struck out 17 to 20 hitters in one game at Ball State. His strikeout rates this year have been just absolutely insane. Matter of fact, last night he came in, he got 6 outs. Of the 6 outs, 5 were strikeouts.
Wow.
He absolutely destroyed the Fresno Grizzly hitters. And so check this out. Ryan Brown and his Vulcan change, 77 strikeouts in 40.2 innings. Let me say that one more time. 77 Ks in 40.2 innings.
Wow.
For Ryan Brown. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's almost 2 strikeouts an inning. And I did see him pitch for the Quakes, and he was very impressive. So
yeah, he was the one you said was very he was the one you were impressed with.
Yeah. And the good thing about a changeup is it's not as hard on the arm as say like throwing a slider or a splitter or something like that.
Good
so
point.
That could preclude him from maybe getting injuries that other pitchers have suffered if he can throw that consistently and be successful with it like he has been.
Okay, man, this has been a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely.
You've done a wonderful job, Mark. I really appreciate you joining.
Thank you.
Sundays are sometimes tough, and I got to you late, so great job, Mark. Final thoughts?
I just, Dodgers are coming back home. I know they're excited about that. It was a little bit of a tough road trip, and some of those parks they're playing in, like Tampa Bay, obviously extremely humid, so they weren't enjoying being out there on the road. They're happy to be coming back to California, and hopefully just need to get some more of those hitters clicking, get them hitting the ball. One thing I'll mention too that I noticed this week is the Dodgers have been outstanding despite not having great offense consistently. They're still number 1 team in baseball at hitting with runners in scoring position.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So, and the Padres are way down in the 20s, 23 or something like that, at hitting with runners in scoring position. So I think that bodes well for the Dodgers because especially when they get in big games, the intensity ratchets up. And like they showed in the playoffs and World Series last year with the type of hitters they have, I think when the chips are on the line, they're going to really step up. I'm hoping so. And, hopefully this homestand will bring them back around. So we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Mark. You've done a wonderful job on this show. Always a great pleasure to get to talk to you.
Thank you.
We'll coordinate whether you get to go to Rancho or not next week. That's going to be up to your schedule, whatever you want to do. But they have a lot of fun young players, so that'll be super exciting. So thanks again, Mark. Thank you to all of you Dodgers dogs. You know that you're the absolute best crowd out there. Not the biggest, 100% the best. So until next time, which will be tomorrow night, Austin Brubaker will come live on a live show to you on a Monday night. It will be Austin Brubaker, the Brew Crew, will be coming right at you, right live. I want to thank you for tuning in, and as always, remind you, it's a great day to be a Dodger.